All right, so the recording is on. Walaikum assalam, Ahmed. And okay, yeah, just let Usam know. And फिर अब यार चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट ऑफ और वो चीज़ मैं जल्दी फिर से कवर अप कर दूंगा. So yesterday we ended our class at this very moment. We basically discussed how do we convert hexadecimal numbers into binary and how do we convert hexadecimal number into denary and then likewise denary to binary and binary to hexadecimal. Now we are done with the boring part. Okay. Now today we are going to be studying something very cool. Firstly, I wanted to address आप लोग के ज़हन में there should have been this one question that why do we need why do we need hexadecimals? Like we had binary, we had denary. Like what's the purpose of having these hexadecimal values? Like if we have binary, computers understands binary, okay? And then there is denary, which we humans can understand. What's the purpose of introducing a new system like a hexadecimal? Wait, a second is going to zoom in. Okay, okay. Guys, if there is something I'm missing on, just let me know, please. Okay, why do we need hexadecimal? A very, very important question. Okay, so the reason behind that is basically, okay. Chalo. Why do we need hexadecimal? There are basically three reasons, and this is usually a question in your exam. Okay, question in your exam. The question basically states, write three reasons or three uses of hexadecimal numbers. Now, the first let's discuss the reasons, and then we will look into the uses of hexadecimal values. Okay. So the first thing, why do we need hexadecimal? The first reason is that basically, if you remember, yesterday we did this one example. Where is it? This large number. Okay. You see, CFA. We discussed this one hexadecimal example. Why is it a hexadecimal? Because we can see clearly that we also have a C and an A, which clearly indicates that this is an hexadecimal value. We have a hexadecimal value up here, right? But the issue is that when I convert CFA into binary, it comes out such a big number. Like just have a look at this. It's 4, 8, 12, 16, 16 bits. 16 bits in binary, like you see, it's 16 bits in binary. If I just count the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's like 16 bits in binary. But if I look at only your hexadecimal, it's only taking 3 bits. So the first reason is that it is much more easier to read and interpret. Now, for someone like me, let me write it. Number one, it's easier to read and interpret. Read and interpret. Now, what do I mean by this? Basically, I mean to say that when I have a hexadecimal value, the issue with it, if I have a binary value, the issue with it is that there are a lot of numbers. Like let's say I tell you that this is some sort of an error code. If you guys know, if you are using a Windows computer, sometimes there is this thing known as Windows stop code where you get a blue screen and then you have a barcode. Okay, I'm just explaining why is like hexadecimal preferred. The reason behind why hexadecimal is basically preferred is due to its shorter length. Like you see, we have only 3 bits right now, only 3 bits. But if I convert these 3 bits into binary, it's like a 16 bits binary number. Okay, it shouldn't be 16, by the way. Okay, it's a 4 one up here. So this C5A3, that's a 16 one. If it's a 3, it would have been a 12-bit binary number. But now the thing is, the important part right now is to understand that, let's say if this is an error code, okay, error code. Let's say I say that if there is an issue with my computer and I get this error A to B, which means that your computer has battery issue, okay, battery issue. Now, for someone like me or like for humans, memorizing A to B is way more easy than learning the flow of some numbers 00, 11, 10, 10, random double zeros, 11. So just tell me, what do you guys think? Is memorizing A to B much easier or 11, 00, 10, 10, 00, 11? Definitely, this is more difficult. And this becomes more difficult when I, let's say, have millions of such codes. Okay, millions. Yeah. So it What do you mean, Ibrahim? Can you clarify? What do you mean by A dash B? Like basically, I'm just giving you an example, right? Up here, it's like an example that let's say, why do we need, like I'm just discussing why do we need hexadecimal values, even though if we have binary and denary. So the purpose of having these hexadecimal values is that basically it is much more easier to read and interpret. Yes, exactly. It is much more easier. Yeah. So it's basically much more easier to memorize. Like let's say I have an issue, battery issue is A to B. Let's say the hard disk issue is something like A to C, okay? Or maybe something like A5C, something like that. So memorizing such thing is much easier. Like when you get to companies like big tech firms, okay, when you get to big tech firms and there is some issue, always remember, wait, let me just get a screenshot for you. That will be much clearer. Windows stop code. Just a moment. Windows stop code. Just a moment. Let me take a screenshot of it and then you will better understand what I mean to say. Let me have one which includes the hexadecimal value. Okay, see? Now, friend, just take a screenshot. So this is basically, just a moment, good notes. And let me paste it up here from files. Where is the screenshot? Yes. Okay. So guys, have a look at this specific picture. Now you see in this picture, it's missed right now, but this code, this 0xc triple 4 times 0 to 1a, this is something usually mentioned at this section, okay? And then it says that you have an error code, okay? This is an error code. The purpose behind introducing such things is that now this is a hexadecimal value. This is a hexadecimal value, okay? This is a hexadecimal value. Now, the purpose of introducing such hexadecimal value is that if I try to break this into binary, how am I going to do? Like break it into 4 and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then maybe if we don't have anything at the other side, we just add plain zeros, like just ignore it. So we have 4. So 3 basically groups. This means we have 12 bits of binary. Let me write it up here. 12 bits of binary. Now memorizing such 12 bits of binary is very, very challenging. But for someone in the field of computer science, maybe in some firm or something, if I just tell them that I'm facing this issue 0xc 4 times 0 to 1a, they will directly get to know, oh, this person is basically referring to Windows stop code. And then he or she can give you a solution to how you can fix your computer. So this is one reason why we use hexadecimal, because it is much more easier to read and interpret. The second reason is current template. Let me, what's that? Oh, that is just maybe for some expression. This is just like an example. It's not, it has nothing to do with hexadecimal at your level. Like, see, you are currently just studying the basics. At your level, it's not something which you need to worry about. That will be something you will be studying at an advanced level. But for now, just know that this is an hexadecimal value, okay? Maybe the 0x is some sort of code that after this x number, we have some sort of error. Like this is an error code, which is basically a hexadecimal thingy. So just ignore the 0x at this moment. It's for your, it's just for like computer configuration. You should be just looking at this 0 double triple 0 to 1a. This is like, I'm just trying to give an example for a hexadecimal number, okay? Now, what's the Walaikum Assalam, Ijaz, Walaikum Assalam. So just to give you a quick overview, we are just studying the, what do we call it? Reasons why we should be using hexadecimal. Like we have binary and denary. So we are just discussing the reasons behind having hexadecimals. One reason is that it is much more easier to interpret and understand. Just have a look. A to B, 3 digits, much more easier to understand and memorize rather than memorizing the whole binary equivalent value, which could be something like 11001010 and so on. So the second point is it uses fewer digits. Okay, as I said, mentioned earlier. The second reason, uses fewer digits. Uses fewer digits. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you see a hexadecimal is basically only going to be taking something like, let me write one number, A5C. Now this is a hex, okay? I will be, a hexadecimal would be denoted by hex, okay? I'm just going to be calling it in short form hex, okay? Hexadecimal number, A5C. Now A5C would have been something like, let's break this, okay? A would be 1, 2, 4, 8. What is A? A is basically 10, right? Always write it. A equals to 10, B equals to 11, C equals to 12, D equals to 13, E equals to 14, F equals to 15. If you guys have a page with you, just try solving it. Okay, wait. I'm A to B is just like an example. It's not something you need to look at. A to B is just a hexadecimal value. Okay. It's not something you need to memorize. A to B is just, I just give an example that let's say I make a laptop, and in that laptop I say that if there is an issue with the battery, then the error will be given with the code A to B. So the A to B will be basically what? It will be an error code. Let me turn on always. Okay, battery saving mode on. So A to B is basically, oh, perhaps it's not working fine. Let me turn it off. I just turned on the low power mode and the performance just went off. Yeah, turn it off. So streaming does take a lot of energy. Okay. Exactly. Like, see, A to B is just an example. Okay. For instance, let's say A5C, or let's remove A. Let's make it something like A5E. It's just an hexadecimal number. It has nothing to do with the computer. It's just like a random number. Now, A5E is a number which may be some sort of error. Like you see up here, we have this 0000021A. This is an error basically, which says that your computer ran into a problem and that it cannot work. Now, just like that, A5E might be some sort of an error. But now, why do I write A5E? Like, let's say if there is an issue with my computer and the computer gets a problem. Like, let's see, this is an official way. Like, this is an original picture, a screenshot of what happens when your computer runs into a problem. When your computer runs into a problem, you get something like this. And then the issue with this is that you are not given binary up here. Like, they could have directly mentioned that you have a binary error of this, but they rather give you an hexadecimal code like this. C000221A. Why do they give you C000221A rather than such long binary digits? The reason is that usually binary is really longer and your hexadecimal uses way less, fewer digits. So let's say we have A5E as an example. Let's convert A5E into binary. How do we do that? Remember, every digit will be dealt separately. Now A will be what? A is a 10. So 8, 1, and then 2, 1. And the other two are going to be 0. Then 5. 5 is 1, 2, 4, 8. How do I turn it? 0, 4, 4. And then I'm going to put a 1 under 1. And 2 will be again 0. And then E. What's E? E is basically a 14. So 14. 1, 2, 4, 8. How am I going to turn on a 14? It's going to be 8 plus 4, 12. 12 plus 2, 1, 0. So we get the final answer as 1010, 0101, 1110. Now let's say I'm a human, I'm a technician, and you come to me and directly tell me, bro, I have an issue with my computer, and that the computer is telling me that I have an issue of A5E. Okay, so memorizing A5E will be much more simpler than someone coming to me and saying, bro, I have an issue, which is 1010, 0101, 1110. Just think to yourself, A5E. Okay, A5E, A5E, maybe hardware some sort of issue. When you tell me like 1010, 0101, 1110, there could be like millions of ideas coming into my mind. So it will be really, really difficult. So for this reason, the computer and the software developer uses hexadecimal values to simplify. You see, we discussed this above. It's easier to read and interpret. And secondly, it uses much less digits. Exactly. And one other element attached to it. When it uses fewer digits, like you see right now, this binary number, it has 12 bits. Okay. It has 12 bits. We have the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 bit. So in memory, it is basically occupying. So the value is occupying 12 bits. Okay. So it's occupying 12 bits. But have a look up here, A5E. It's only occupying 3 bits. Now, what's the benefit? We are occupying much less space in the memory. So this is one other benefit. Hexadecimal values occupy way less memory than binary elements, than binary numbers. Your memory is basically, if you remember, I gave you an example yesterday. Your memory is like a shelf, which I mentioned yesterday, like a register. Okay, you have specific columns in it: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if I want to keep the binary value in the memory, it will be like occupying 12 of such shelves. For binary, it would have been like 12 such shelves, 12 shelves. Okay. But if I want to do it with hex for hexadecimal, it is only going to be taking 3 shelves. So for your computer, if you're using hexadecimal values, you're basically occupying very less space. Now, right now, we are just like having a look at a very minimal level, but basically behind the operation of your entire computer, you have these binary and hexadecimal values. So when we talk about like at a millions level capacity, you will get to know that hexadecimal and binary can indeed make a very big difference. So like if I can, like I can have like I can give 12 bits to either one instruction. Like if I want to store just this binary value, it will be taking 12 bits, right? But if I want to keep a hexadecimal value and like 12 bits for the same single hexadecimal instruction, which only took 3 bits. Okay. Now this means that I can either keep one instruction which of binary length, which will be occupying 12 shelves, or I could have 4 instructions, because each instruction is having how much? It's 3. Each is having 3, so 3 times 4, 12. So I could either store one instruction in entirely binary, or I could have 4 instructions stored separately in hex. So this is one other positive reason that basically when you deal with hexadecimal values, you occupy way less memory than your binary numbers. Um, yeah, it's a nibble, okay, but I'm just talking about memory. Now, nibbles come up when you have to convert values. In memory, you have like such slots which are known as registers. These are known as registers. A registers has 8 bits. Okay, usually we call it like a 8-bit register. So it means a memory slot. Like, let me give you an example. You usually have USBs, right? Or flash disk drives. Now, USB could be of 8 GB, or it could be of 16 GB, or it could be of 32, and so on. Okay, just like that, your computer will also be having, like, when we buy these SSDs or hard disks, we have these memory slots created in that, and every memory slot has a register. A register is like, you can say, like we have this big hard disk. Okay, let's just make it a bit diagrammatically. It's not like this, but for your own explanation. Okay, this is a big hard disk. Okay, let's call it the SSD, the new gen SSD. Okay, and then in that I have 4 registers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now all these 4 registers are of 8 bits. Okay, this means I can put 8 bits up here, then I can have 8 bits up here, then I can have 8 bits up here, and I can have 8 bits up here. Once this exhausts, there will be no more storage. And this means if I add up, I have a 32 bits SSD. Okay, just for your own example. So like if I want to store binary numbers, a binary number will come in like 8 up here and then 4 from here. So it's going to take nearly half of 1.5 times of like 2 slots. But if I want to mention and store hexadecimal values, it's only going to be taking 3, which means that even in one, I can store nearly 1.5 something, and then I can take like a bit of this. So just imagine, it's like I can store 2 in this much, whereas if I'm only trying to store binary values, it's going to take this much space, the yellowish part. So the yellowish part is way more than this greenish part, which makes it occupy way more space. So when we are dealing with hexadecimal values occupy way less memory than your binary numbers, which is a very big benefit for computers, because you are trying to minimize the storage that is being used. Okay, next. What's next? Let me see. Okay, one other benefit which is a bit off, but let's just talk about it. You compare to binary. So compare to binary, when we are dealing with hexadecimal values, compare to binary when dealing with hexadecimal values, when dealing with hexadecimal values. I'm trying to write everything so that you can just have a look at the notes later on and just make your own notes if you want to. Okay, when dealing with hexadecimal numbers, the chances of making an errors are lower. The chances for making an error are lower. What do I mean by this? So basically, what happens is that when we are dealing with binary numbers, you see, come up here. We discussed this example, right? So where's the example? Yeah, this number. So A5E. Way simpler, right? I can just think like A5E. Okay, clear. A5E. It's an error. But if I talk about it in binary terms, it's something like 101001011110. And you all know that even if I misplace this single one, if I make it right like 1010, the whole thingy will be changed. It's going to be giving me a different hexadecimal value, which means it will be referring to something else. And so, whereas if I only deal with A5E, maybe the maximum error I might be able to create is that like I change one of the 3 bits. But up here, when dealing with binary values, I can change any of the 12 binary digits, which means that I have a way larger chance of making an error. Is that clear? We can make much larger errors. So when you are talking about binary elements, and you're usually basically referring to large number sets, you can make much more errors. But whereas when you are talking about hexadecimal numbers are like shorter in length, so you have way less chance for making an error. So the chances for making an error are way lower when you are dealing with hexadecimal numbers. Now we are done with why we are using hexadecimal. Now we need to study something which frequently comes in your exams, that why do we use hexadecimal. Now guys, just let me know, is it clear till this very moment? Okay, you didn't understand, no worries. Acha, aisa hai, let me explain it again. आपको कौन सा point, the point 4, okay, okay, just let me know, are the first 3 points clear? Are you just confused with the 4th point? Okay. So the 4th point says that compared to binary, when dealing with hexadecimal numbers, the chances for making an error are lower. Let's say Ibrahim faces some issue. Okay. He opens up a computer and the computer loads up, like, let me make a monitor for him. This is Ibrahim's computer. Okay. This is Ibrahim's PC. Okay, this is Ibrahim's PC. And he loads up the computer, and then the computer gives an error. The error is 7C2. And maybe Ibrahim doesn't know what's this error about. Whereas at the same time, we have someone else, let's say Saifullah. Saifullah opens up his computer, Saifullah's PC. Now Saifullah's PC gives him an error like this: 110010110011. Okay. Now Saifullah PC gave him the error in binary terms, whereas Ibrahim PC got an error in hexadecimal number. Okay. Now what happens? You guys don't have a phone, you guys don't have a paper, you guys don't have anything to write it on. But you both know that I'm going to memorize the error, and then I'm going to technician, maybe come to me and just ask me, how can I fix this problem? Okay. So Ibrahim memorizes that, okay, this is, let's say, Ibrahim. Okay. Ignore the bad drawing, but Ibrahim has his brain up here, and then he memorizes that the error was 7C2. Okay. Whereas we have Saifullah up here. Okay. And then in his brain, he also memorizes the long binary number. Let me write it as a binary. Okay. So he memorized the whole binary number, and both of them comes to me. Okay. I'm the technician. Tech banda. Tech wala banda. So I'm the tech wala banda. Okay. Let me make it like this. So these are the windows. Okay. So what happens is, Ibrahim comes to me and tells me, I have an error with my computer. And then he tells me maybe 7C3. Now he made a mistake up here. Okay, Ijaz tech wala. Okay. Ijaz is the tech wala banda. This is Ijaz. Ijaz tech wala banda. Okay. He comes to me and he makes a mistake. He forgot the code. But he tells me 7C3. Now Ijaz will be wondering, what is 7C3? I don't know anything about him. Maybe opens his book, checks out his computer, he types in like, oh, 7C3. No, there is no error like 7C3. Now, 7C3, but Ijaz knows that maybe he forgot the number. Okay, maybe Ibrahim forgot the number, and he just checks out what are the errors that we can get like with 7C. So he will see that we can have an error like 7C1, maybe for instance, or 7C2. And then he asks, is there an issue with your computer when you load up, it doesn't shows the screen? And then Ibrahim says, yeah, exactly. So Ijaz gets to know that, okay, he's referring to 7C2. Yeah. At the same time, Saifullah now, it's Saifullah's turn. He goes to Ijaz Tech wala banda, okay, and then he tells him that, okay, I opened up my computer, I woke up, had a great breakfast, and just went on to turn on my PC, and then a large number like 1100, and then he messes first this one, okay, because he forgot it, zero, and then he converts this zero into one, and then it's like one one, and then zero one, and then he again messes one zero, and then one one. So just let me know, when Ijaz is going to look at this binary number where there are like 12 large bits, and Saifullah could have, like, you see 7C something, maybe I can easily memorize. How can I memorize? Like, let's say if I was at your place, I personally could have only made a mistake with like two, maybe. I can make mistake here. Why can I make a mistake here? Maybe I can say, seven refers to CR7 shirt. CR7 Cristiano Ronaldo shirt. Okay. By the way, I'm a Messi fan. I'm not a Ronaldo fan, but let's say CR7 shirt. Okay. So seven from there. C. Okay. I have a computer. Okay. So the computer first letter is C. Computer. But then I mess up the number two because I forgot it, and I say that, oh, the error was 7C3 rather than 7C2. Whereas when I'm memorizing the 110010110011 code, I cannot memorize it except for Ratta. Okay. And so I mess up the whole number like 111000 rather than 11001. But I say 11000, then 111 rather than 101, and then 0101 rather than 0011. So I just made three mistakes because there are no possible hints to memorizing it. The chances of making an error are much larger, like maximum the error. No, Messi is the GOAT. Okay, Messi, no Ronaldo. Yeah, so the maximum error Ibrahim can make up here is that he could either mess up the 7, number 1, or he could mess up C, number 2, or he could mess up 3, or he could mess up all three of them, which might be the fourth scenario. But up here, you have 12 digits, which mean you can mess all 12 of them separately. Just imagine 12 of them, or maybe all of them, so that's the 13th case. So just let me know. Saifullah has 13 options to mess up his entire memorized memory, whereas Ibrahim has only 4. So if I'm dealing with hexadecimal, so it's much more easier to understand, right? So for hexadecimal numbers, the chances for making an error are much less. Like, what are the chances for making an error? Chance for an error. Chance for an error. It's only 4. You have a chance of only 4. Whereas if you are dealing with binary number, the chances are 13. So just let me know which one. Yes, exactly. Binary is much more difficult and it has much more chances for error because it has a very long number. Like, see, if it was something like only 101, maybe it would have been easy. But the 7C3 code, if I say 7C3, the 7C3 basically becomes a code such long of like 12 digits. So when I'm memorizing something of 12 digits, it will be way longer and the chances for error are only going to increase. Whereas for hexadecimal, it's only going to be 7C3, much more easy. So for someone like Ijaz Tech wala banda, the Ijaz Tech wala banda will be much more easily able to help Ibrahim by referring out that yes, an error could have been 7C1, 7C2, but if you made a mistake, he can never figure out, okay, maybe he made a mistake in maybe 01 would be something else, 10 would be something else. So he cannot help Saifullah, and Saifullah has to return to his home and memorize the code again, whereas Ibrahim can quickly get a solution and he will get this package which has the solution, and then he was going to be just inserting it and then he will get the answer. Yes, Saifullah is just going to get confused. So did you guys get the 4th point now or not? Let me know. Perfect. No worries. इस तरह के questions पूछो guys. I love students who ask questions, okay? And I also personally want every one of you to be such talkative and discuss things in the group and everything. So just a moment, let me open up the book because book ke andar there is some extra point about this which I want to discuss. Just a moment. Okay. So yes, बिल्कुल आप लोग group, make the group active, guys. It's not only about the class. Go ask questions, गपशप लगाओ आपस में. बिल्कुल, the group is open for everyone. Okay. So what are the uses of hexadecimal, or is it removed from the course? Okay, we don't have the uses of it. Should be there. I remember studying it back. Okay, yes, we do have the uses. So a question usually comes. Okay, it says list three uses of hexadecimal. Hexadecimal. Now, till now, we studied why should we be implementing hexadecimal numbers. Now we are going to be using the writing the uses of hexadecimal. Now, what are the uses? Okay, let me just write it up. Just a moment. So the first very use of a hexadecimal number is it's used in error codes. What are error codes? Error codes are basically the very exact example which we discussed up here. 7C2 referring to this number, this. Now let me take a screenshot. अब ये कहाँ से मैं लूँगा? I don't have a book, but just a moment. 7C2 Google से उठा लेते हैं. Error codes, Windows. Let me get some error codes. Error codes. Okay, let me take a screenshot of this. Screenshot. Done. And now back to the file. Add up the file up here. And from files, screenshot at the end and open up. Okay, so guys, see. We have this document. Okay, इसको जरा नीचे ले आओ ताकि if you are looking it later on, आपको समझ आए. Okay, so now you see these error codes. Oh no, I don't need that. You look at these error codes 4232, 4325, stuff like this. All of these are basically hexadecimal elements. Okay, hexadecimal. Now, firstly, it goes like, because you remember I said it can go from 0 to 9, and once that ends, it's going to include A to F also. Okay, but you only have these numbers right now. Yes, बिल्कुल. वो अभी discuss करते. We do have hexadecimal in math addresses. So error codes. Whatever we discussed previously up here, this whole kahani, the story above, same to same is being told up here. We have hexadecimal used for error codes. So when you have some sort of failure in your computer, in your PC, or you have some sort of error, or there is some issue, the computer won't give you some binary number. It will just give you some 4 to 5 digit hexadecimal value. And so you can give this hexadecimal value to the customer support service thingy. Error 101. Okay, error 101. The 101 is a hexadecimal number. It's not a binary. Okay, you also get something like when the Chrome browser doesn't know, it's like 503 or like 403, something like that. And that's something also a hexadecimal. It's referring to some very large binary number at the back, but we just shorten the binary number so that it occupies less space and so that it's much more easier to understand. So all of these numbers are basically error codes, and these all are what? Hexadecimal numbers. So the first use of hexadecimal is error codes. Now in the exam, it won't ask you for detail or anything. It's like a quick question. हम आखिर में करते हैं. Let me find something. फिर मैं वो करवा देता हूँ. But you are just given a question. Write three uses of hexadecimal. So the first use will be error codes. Remember, I always say that in computer science, keywords are really important. So error codes is the exact wording which you need to mention. Don't write something like problems with computer. Okay, problems with computer won't get you the mark. So important point, use these keywords. Okay, it's really important that you use the exact same keywords. Okay, point number 2. Let me get up here. Point number 2. What's the second use? The second use is basically MAC addresses. And what's a MAC address? A MAC address is basically an address which all of your devices have. Okay, it's like a specific address which is used to uniquely identify you. Uniquely identify your device. So let's say your device. Let's say we have किसी और को लेते हैं. Yeah, just a moment, मैं किसी और को ले लूं. We have Ahmed in the class, and we also have Faria in the class and Osam in the class. Okay, so let's say Faria got herself a new laptop. Okay, Faria, she got herself a new laptop. Now this laptop has a serial number. Okay, We all know a serial number. And what's a serial number? A serial number is basically a number which is unique to that specific laptop, right? But a serial number is only unique within the company. Let's say she gets a MacBook. Okay. Now, in terms of Apple company, the serial number will be unique. Maybe Dell produces another laptop which might have a similar number, serial number, but there won't be an issue because the models are changed, right? But when we talk about internet network, when we talk about network, in network, there is another number which is unique to your computer, and that is basically used to identify your device. That number is basically known as your MAC address, and that number is MAC address. So MAC addresses are basically numbers. Yeah, definitely, बिल्कुल. देखो goat people get goat laptops. Okay, so MAC address. Now coming to the main thing, MAC address. A MAC address usually होते किस तरह? Okay, MAC addresses are basically in the font of like maybe AB colon 75 colon 63 colon C2 colon 52 colon 9A colon 7C. So this colon is basically the grammatical section. Okay, grammatical flow. Maybe it's like the pattern. You can say it's like a pattern. Okay, pattern for the logic and the grammatical flow. So we have these columns. Ignore that. Okay, look at these numbers: A, B, 75, 63, C2, 52, 9A, 7C. All of this are basically your MAC number. Now your mobile phone has a MAC address to it. Okay, yeah. देखो सिंपल अल्फाज में ये है कि when you connect your laptop, phone, Xbox, PS4, console, anything, smart TV to some internet, there is a specific serial number of it. That serial number is unique to it. It has like there is no other. Like you see, we have this fingerprint. Like my fingerprint is unique to me. None other person has a similar fingerprint like this. Okay, we have no one. But now, if I have something like this unique, which is only unique to me, I call it a fingerprint. Now, the computers also have something like this. Their fingerprint is basically a MAC address. Now, a MAC address is basically an address which is basically unique to the device. Okay, when you connect to the internet, yes, you can track someone if you get someone's MAC address. Okay, you can. And usually, what happens is like these big companies, they usually have your MAC addresses. So if there is some sort of an important update which they want to do themselves, so they can directly just write like MAC address for all the latest 2024 Dell or HP Victus models, and then send the update file. So it's going to go to all the MAC addresses. How do they get to know? Yes, coming to that. अब MAC addresses is basically unique to your device. It's unique to your device. मतलब आप कहीं भी चले जाओ ना पूरे दुनिया में, you will have the same MAC address. And if you go to your phone setting, let me see मेरे phone में अगर होता है, you can have your MAC addresses in your phone too. So you go to about and किधर गया Oh, by the way, अभी याद आया, I was about to show you my MAC address, लेकिन MAC address show तो नहीं करवाना होता. But I've seen my MAC address. It's up here, okay? And I can clearly see my MAC address right now in front of me. When you go to your phone setting or your device setting and you go to like general about section and you scroll down a bit, you clearly see options like MAC address, IP address, and all those. So the MAC address is basically an address which is uniquely identifying your device. And so MAC address means the thing right now you need to understand is that the MAC address syntax or the format which it follows is like this, which only includes hexadecimal. So you don't need to know the other story which I mentioned previously. So it's not something related to chapter number 1, but just know that MAC address also uses hexadecimal values. Hexadecimals. If I mention hexamer, just know I'm trying to refer to hexadecimal. You are supposed to write hexadecimal. You don't have the permission to write it like as hex. Maybe MAC address or IP address, don't share it with anyone. Say these are some confidential information, so ये चीजें नहीं दिखानी होती. ये hack नहीं कर सकते भाई, इतना नहीं है इंशाल्लाह. कर सकते हो, but not right now. The third thing, IP address. What's the IP address? Now, remember, I said that IP address is basically अब देखो आईपी एड्रेस इज सिमिलर टू मैक एड्रेस. यूजुअली किड्स कंफ्यूज कि आईपी एड्रेस और मैक एड्रेस में क्या डिफरेंस है. नाउ आईपी एड्रेस आल्सो इट uniquely identifies your device, but there's a catch to it. It uniquely identifies your device on a network. Now what do I mean by this? Let's say I have a router in my home, okay, PTCL, okay. Now Ahmed came to my home. यार आप तो दिखा रहे हो यार. Ahmed came to my home, okay. So this is Ahmed's laptop, okay. Ahmed. And Ahmed connects to my network using Wi-Fi. Okay, this is the Wi-Fi symbol. Okay, now when I connect to a router, the router is going to give me some number. Let's say 192.168.7.6.8.1. Okay, now this is some number which the routers give me. Now why does the router give me a number? Because let's say I want to maybe someone let's say Osaim basically sends some data and he's living in Islamabad, okay, and this router is in Aptabad. Now, how do I get the data? Basically, it travels through these wires, right? Like very fast wires. Now, the data goes from Osaim's Islamabad house to Aptabad through the wires, and then it comes to PTCL. But now the issue is that I also have my console up here. I have an Xbox, okay, and it's also connected to the internet. And then I also have like my device, mobile phone. It's also connected. Okay, this is my phone, and it's also connected to the same internet. How does the device gets to know? There you go. How does the device gets to know this router कि मैंने data Ahmed को भेजना है and not to the phone? Maybe this is Saifullah's phone and this is Ijaz console. Okay, how does the computer PTCL device router, which is the modem or the router जिसके ऊपर आप लोग basically landline connect करते हैं, how does it get to know that I need to send it to this laptop? Basically what happens is कि ये जो router है ना, it gives every device connected to it a unique code. So this would be 192.0.2 and this would be 192.0.3. Now it will see that okay, the data was asked by a device which had 1 at the end. So now it sees 1 यहाँ पे है, yes, directly transfer the data up here. Ignore 2, ignore 3. So the IP address is basically used to uniquely identify your device, but only on a network. Okay, it always changes. Maybe if I disconnect, okay, if I disconnect right now, Emma turns off the Wi-Fi, and then he reconnects. It won't be 1. Maybe it goes to 4. Okay, so it can change. The thing with MAC address is that MAC address will always stay the same. Now if I have if Ahmed laptop has a MAC address, it will stay the same even if you disconnect and connect a million times. Similarly, the console will have the same MAC address, and the IP address the phone will also be having the same MAC address, but the IP address will always change. And let's say now I go to Usaim's home in Islamabad, and then I connect my phone up there. Now, previously, when I was at my home, my phone had an address of 192 da 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 and 3 at that. But when I go to Sam home, let's say he has like 10 devices connected already, and I'm the 11th device. So my address could be something like 192 11. And this 192 is basically something which you will be studying in A levels. So ignore अभी के लिए. It's something PTCL की devices हमेशा 192 से start होती है, सही. And so the 11 device. So yes, IP differences addresses are different in a manner कि वो आपके घर के only it's relevant to your modem and router. Once you disconnect and then you reconnect, it uses the same mechanism. Like IP addresses are also used to identify you. But the issue with it is that once you disconnect and then you reconnect, your IP address is always going to change. It won't stay the same. There are something जो servers वगैरह वो बाद में हम पढ़ेंगे, but for now just know that IP addresses never change this. They always change. They never stay the same. Whereas your MAC addresses, they always change. समझो, they always change. So now the thing is, coming back, जो आपके IP addresses होते हैं ना, the new IP addresses, they are also written in the same like AB.7C7.192.76. Now this is a new type of IP address जिसको IPv6 बोलते हैं. Till now, these all other examples we discussed, those are IPv4. So IPv6 is like a new advanced version which also includes this AB. Before that, even now, right now in Pakistan, if you see your device IP address like something like this, 192.168. Whatever the number, depends on your region, location, and then dot your device number, like whether it's device number 1, 2, or something. So even right now in Pakistan, we have IPv4, but now in the world, because the number of devices are increasing, and if you remember, we only have limited slot up here. Like, see, if we are only dealing with 0 to 9, 0 to 9, we have a limited capacity, right? But when I also include 10, 11, okay, I'm explaining. So basically, IPv4, IPv6 is a technology, like it's a model number. Like, let's say I have an iPhone 13, but then we also have an iPhone 16. What's the difference between the two? Both of them are iPhones, but the iPhone 16 is a newer version. It has much more power. Now, this IPv4 basically means Internet Protocol. IP refers to Internet Protocol. These are basically rules which you need to follow. Okay, we will be discussing this in chapter 5. So अभी इस पे ज़्यादा focus नहीं करना, ये वैसे आपके understanding के लिए. And then V4 means version 4, and then version 6. Okay, so the version 6 mein ye hai ki you have A, B, C, D, E, F, and all those letters too. So when you have those letters, this means you can also go from 0 to 9, and then also from 10 to 15, right? But right now in the IP version 4, you only had number 0 to 9, even though this is also hexadecimal. This is also hexadecimal, but you are only confining yourself to 0 to 9. And so if they give you an example, perhaps don't mention this as a hexadecimal. I guess this is denary only. The new one, IP version 6, this has hexadecimal in it. You see A, B, C, 7, and all these numbers. Okay, the thing is, जो आपका MAC address होता है ना, a good questions. Ahmed asked, do MAC addresses vary on different devices of different company like Samsung or Apple? Okay, ऐसे जो आपके MAC addresses है ना, like you see, I gave you all this example. So MAC address is of 6 length. Okay, I just made this one extra. You have 6 bits, 6 groups. You have the first one, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The thing is, the first three groups, now this is extra information. Okay, guys, do know this is extra information. The first three groups, they refer to the company name. Okay, company name. Let's say Apple in this case, because she got a MacBook, the first three AB7563 will mean Apple. And then the last three C27298, the last 3 groups are basically going to be your device number. So it's nothing you guys need to understand. It's just like for your own clarification that if you look at your MAC address, and let's say you have an Apple device and your friend also has an Apple device, the MAC address, the first 6 letters are going to be same because they are the company name. Okay, they won't be different. The last 6 digits are going to be different because they are referring to your device number. So let's see, we have a question. So you use MAC address and they ship cars with duplicate addresses to different parts of the US or the world so that there is only a very small chance to computers. And yes, you are correct. अब इसमें भी ये है ना कि every region has a different device. Okay, extra information, again extra information. Let's say she got a MacBook. Okay, so a MacBook will have different regions. You can have one for the US and Canada. You will have one for the South Asia. You might have one for the China. Now, the US or Canada phones or devices are always going to start from a code LLA. Now, LLA is basically going to refer out now. This is only for the US or the Canada. Then you have the South Asia one, which might be HNA. Okay, you don't have to memorize this, but for your own information. And then China could be CH. Now, the purpose of having such regions is just like Ibrahim said, that the purpose of this is to make sure that there are no repetition. Now, if I start something like LLA and then I write a MAC address, so maybe, usually it doesn't happen, but if we have an H and A with the same MAC address, we can differentiate between the devices because one is for the US region and the other one is basically for your South Asia region. So exactly. Then अच्छा guys, अभी CS पढ़ लो फिर उसके बाद में गपशप लगाना. So after that, let's create a new page. So what's next? Let me just have a look. Okay, finally, have you guys ever wondered how do you create programming web pages and these? Just a moment. How do we create websites and all that? What's the language behind web programming? Language behind web development. So behind web development, if someone wants to learn web development, the first and foremost thing they need to learn, no, not different countries, different routers. Maybe you all are in Islamabad. Okay, Islamabad. Islamabad. This is G13. Now this is, let's say, street 2. There are 7 homes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7. All 7 of them have internet access. The IP address for a device connected up here will be different from here. From here will be different from here. From here will be different. I'm just ending up the class in 5 minutes. You guys stay. Yeah, if you are going for Jumat, to ja sakte ho, no worries. Just do watch the final 5 minutes. Yeah, it's important. See, and the final reason why use of hexadecimal is basically आपके web development HTML code. So when you do web development, like we mentioned, आपको programming codes और ये चीजें होती है. Okay, that is basically HTML. HTML is the language used to create websites. Now, what does HTML means? HTML means hypertext markup language. This is the full form, hypertext markup language. Now, it's not a programming language, but this is basically the programming, sort of programming language, which is used to develop the website. Whenever you are dealing with HTML website development, you will hear this word HTML. You should be doing HTML courses. Now, what is HTML? HTML is this hypertext markup language. And uske andar, when you want to develop something, we have these color codes. Now, I don't know if any one of you is doing some sort of graphic designing or anything of that sort. But if you do something like this, you will usually see that जब आप colors में करते हैं ना, तो your colors always start from a hashtag, and then it's like FF00FA. Say, or it could be something like AA12BA, and this could be something like a blue, and this could be something like a black. Now, what are these specific numbers? All of these numbers, AA12BA or FF00FA, are hexadecimal values. These are hexadecimal values. And why did we introduce such hashtag values? Whatever. Yeah, these are different shades. Like, ab dekho, we have millions of colors. Okay, we don't only have, like, the basic 3 colors are red, green, and blue, which are known as RGB. Okay, but let's say I want to make a color which has 5% blue, 2% green, and like 90% somewhat red. 90 don't even again 93% red. Okay, now if I want to make a different shade, the different shade will have something like, if the first two are red, and then this is green and this is blue, I could do something like A7, which would mean like 93% red, and then for green to be 0, I could like 02, which would mean like 2% green, and then like B7, which would mean like 5%. Now this is a code, and this code will make some specific shade. So just to make such different shades, we have introduced such different codes. अब ये codes को याद नहीं करने. Yes, these are basically hexadecimal numbers, and ये hexadecimal numbers आपको, just you should know कि जो आपके color codes होते हैं ना, those are also written in hexadecimal value. Now, what type of question will you guys get? Question. Let's do a past paper question. Okay. List 4 uses of hexadecimal. People say computer science is difficult. Now, guys, just let me know, is this a difficult question? It's a 4-mark question. You have 4 blanks up here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you have to write an answer. 1, 2, 3, and 4. See, now tell me, what could be the first use of a hexadecimal number? We could go with something like a MAC address. MAC address. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I get 1 mark up here. Then second, I could go with IP address. IP address. I get second mark too. Then third one, I could write color codes. Color codes. Now the color codes is the one HTML one which we discussed earlier on. I would suggest write color codes. The color code should be the exact keyword. Let me change it up here. I didn't highlight it, right? 3, and this is 4. For number 4, this is color codes, and then in bracket related to HTML. related to HTML. नहीं कोई बिल्कुल नहीं even if you have not studied CS even a day before, don't worry, we are doing everything all the way from the base. So if you have studied CS or if you haven't studied CS, both of you are going to be at the same page, don't worry, inshallah. And then the final one could be MAC address is done, IP address done, color code is done, and the first one, if you guys remember, memory dumps or error code. Now error codes, you can write both. Okay, memory dumps or error codes, both of them are the same thing. Now this thing, wait, let me share. You see this window error message, this thing is basically known as memory, wait, let me just confirm it, just a moment. Yeah, it's known as error codes, but it's also known as error codes. And एक second, let me see. Okay, so the book doesn't mention it. Okay, then we won't mention it either. So this is basically your error course. Let's just leave it. If your course doesn't want it, we won't be discussing it. No need to go into extra depth. Error codes. Okay, this is basically error codes, and so you are going to be writing error codes up here. Error codes on. Just leave everything and you just write error codes. Now just tell me, this is like a 10-mark question where you just get like 4 on 4 up here. Okay, you get 4 on 4 up here. And then you get maybe 3 marks from here. Where's the last question we did? We did a question up here. Remember? Yeah, we get 3 marks up here. And then there is an A part. I use the Harder Education book, and I will also advise everyone to use that book. It's really good. And then the A part could be a very easy question. What is the number system? What is the number system that has base 16? Now just let me know, how easy of a question is this? Like, what is the number system that has a base 16? Tell me guys quickly in the chat. What's the number system that has base 16? Hexadecimal. Perfect. See, hexadecimal. Hex. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to be writing hexadecimal. That's it. Simple, easy peasy. Now you just got like free 10 marks out of 75. Just imagine. No, you don't have to write nibbles or anything of that sort. It's for your own explanation. You have a hexadecimal. Hexadecimal is the main term which you need to know. Nibble was just for your own explanation. You don't need to write no statement, just a word. When there is a single mark question like this, what is the number system that has base 16? Just write hexadecimal. Okay, just in computer science, it's really important that you don't have to give an explanation. There are specific words. We will discuss that later on. But for now, if it's state, usually the questions are like state. State means one word answer, one word or like maybe 2 words, 2 word answer. When it says something like explain or it says something like describe, if you have either of the 2 words, then you need to write like proper statements, But like right now, I had the question, what is the number system that has base 16? 1 mark, just write the word hexadecimal. You don't need to explain it in lines. Okay, we will be doing, don't worry at all guys, we are going to be inshallah doing a lot of past paper questions. I personally will be solving those questions and I will be doing papers too. So inshallah, in that we are going to be covering everything in great depth. We are going to clearly understand where do we need to explain, how do we need to explain, what points to mention, how to simplify them, how to expand on them, and all that. So that's all for today, guys. If you are watching the recording later on the YouTube session, you can also join our free discussion group using the bio. And I'm just going to turn off the recording. Take care, everyone, and baki ruk jaye zara. Let me turn off the recording. Stop recording.